the Trailer Frontier Camper. So Trailer Brothers is headquartered in Evansville, Indiana, and the Frontier Camper is headquartered in Evansville as well. So we're the contractor building these component units.
What's the contract amount?
$309 million.
Starting where?
We're starting at the University of Washington at Husky Stadium. Both of these machines, they'll be basically as you see them right now, start side by side, mine towards Capitol Hill.
Okay.
And I think Broadway and John is the station that is.
You guys are going, what, about 2 miles?
Yeah, they're about 21,400 feet.
Is there a connection the other direction, north?
No, the station that we're building is the terminal station.
Okay, okay.
I think the Sound Transit has a plan to extend north.
Okay.
Right now, our station is the terminal station. Any other questions at this point? I'll start describing what's going on here. So this is the cutter head of the machine. So it turning earlier today. We had some problems, so it's stopped for the day. All the teal painted colored items are the devices that actually do the cutting underground. So there's several different types. There's a roller disc cutter, which is I think with all little buttons in it, and then there's another device that we call a ripper or a scraper. That's kind of the small little teeth-looking devices. And then there's what's called a bucket lift, which is kind of the curved section. So the roller discs cut harder ground, that is either really compacted glacial soil, or if you come across boulders, it's what cuts a boulder up and allows it to fit through the cutter head opening. The scrapers, they just basically loosen up any kind of clay or other soft material that we may have. Once the material is cut and loosened up, it goes through all the various openings in the cutter head into an area called the excavation chamber, which is kind of the area that you see behind the cutter head and in front of all that what's painted white. Once the material's back there, the machine actually pushes forward and it fills that cavity up, and it pushes forward with enough pressure to balance whatever the water pressure is above the machine. So that's why this technology is called earth pressure balance. So that whole chamber back there is full, pushed against the ground, and then in order to get the material out, since you're pushing on it so hard, you have to have a sealed mechanism. The way that you do that is through that screw auger right in the bottom. So that auger actually, you can extend and retract it, but it extends into the excavation chamber and it turns, it picks up material, pulls the material back where it's loaded onto a conveyor belt and then sent out the tunnel. So you can see that as the material goes on the back. As we're mining along, there's a number of different types of wear plating on the machine. All the little kind of weld feed X's that you see is called hard facing. All the plates that you see welded on are wear resistant hard-ox plate or Kennametal plate, it's called. And around the rim bar, you can kind of see on that machine, it looks like some rifle bars. And those are covered with also a wear resistant plate. So the cutter head, it's very difficult to get out and change cutters or to do any work on the cutter head. So you have to really make sure that you make it as strong as you can before you start mining. Any questions on the cutter head? Or?
What if you run into, how big a rock can you handle?
What happens is, you have to limit your size of rock to whatever fits in that screw conveyor.
Right.
And there's two ways that you do that. One is a piece of steel welded in the openings, which is called grizzly bars. Right. So you can't fit a piece through there that won't fit through the screw. And then in order to get the boulders that size, rely on your cutting devices to break the boulders up.
Okay. So what if you run into solid rock? Or do you know that before?
Normally, if you know you're going to run into solid rock, you configure your cutter head to deal with it.
Okay.
There's no solid rock anticipated on here. Actually, it's not even. There just is no solid rock.
Okay. So,
but there could be boulders.
Yeah.
And the way that we configure the cutter head is the best technology that we know to deal with boulders. So some of our previous jobs, we've really had some problems with boulders. And, techniques to deal with this as well. We spent a lot of extra money on the cutting teeth themselves, putting tungsten carbide inserts and hard facing on them. So,
what exactly have they done here at Jesse Engineering? How much of this is made in Germany and just brought over here, and how much work do they actually do?
the shield parts that you see here and the cutter head were basically built in Germany. Actually, the cutter heads were built in Italy. The shield piece partially built in France. Everything was assembled in Germany for the shield pieces. Then all the backup decks are from a previous project that we used. So they were in, basically disrepair after the tunnel job was finished. So Jesse Engineering completely stripped all the backup, sandblasted, did any welding repairs, and then all the work to put everything back on the machine, Jesse Engineering did. And then they also have done any other, there's a number of other different types of steelwork welding that they've done on the backup. They're actually doing some welding on the shields right now.
What is this front white section called?
We call that the shield.
The shield?
Yeah,
Okay.
just generically.
Is that all new?
It's all new.
Okay, yeah.
And so you can kind of see up there where there's some bare unpainted steel. Jesse Engineering is welding in, it's actually going to be a camera box, so we can hopefully look into the cutter. It's something that's never been done once before. So.
Where was the rest of the machine used previously?
For a job called the Metro Gold Line Extension in Los Angeles. So all the stuff that you see kind of back behind the shield is basically all the steel structures previously used. Most everything else you'll see is pretty new. Head on? Yeah. It could be both. I mean, sometimes I guess what happens is boulders float out in these glacial lakes, and then the icebergs melt, and then they sink into this clay.
They're not like loose bedrock, though. They're actually glacial deposits.
Yeah.